Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Let's see here. Let me add everyone real quick. Okay, can y'all hear me well? Where's my stages tab? All right, market just opened. Sorry, it's a few minutes late. Let's see what's happening. So on overnight futures, we had NQ almost come out double bottom. That would have been really nice, but looked like pretty solid fib on ES. Bounced, and we've now retraced a good chunk of that move. So still this level where we bounced on ES overnight, around midnight. Something I'm looking at, potentially this one over here on NQ. NQ, just a lot of divergence. Now that I look at this, ES has like destroyed this low from 415, which NQ still has not swept. But at the same time, so NQ is actually looking a bit stronger today, at least based on pre-market. All right, let me flip to indexes. Hope everyone's doing okay. Connor, do you want me to add you as a speaker today? It's up to you. I think I can throw you on. Let me see here. No pressure, Connor. This is only if you'd like. All right, let's see. So 739. Yeah, so this 739 note has faded. I know it shows on Atlas before, but this is gone now. As you can see, we're in a bit of an air pocket. This is a bit of an odd map. What is happening here? Okay, we saw these huge downside VEX nodes and GEX on. Okay, so SPX map is basically just huge air pockets, 7450 to those giant nodes downside. SPY is the only one that's giving us solid levels, at least where we currently are. QQQ has a few very soft nodes, like 3,000-4,000. And then so SPY has this rug pull going, huge air pocket, and then a reverse rug pull down here. So not very clear at all right now, I'll be honest. Again, I mean, this is right after market open. This is rarely that clear anyways. So yeah, let's see. I mean, let's wait and see. In my opinion, I don't think there's any reason to rush. It's okay. So before I keep reading these maps, the FOMC, y'all should be sizing way down, right? These days either tend to be pretty choppy or just really random. And then once 2 p.m. hits, I'm shutting down stages and we can just do a Q&A or something. Like, there's no point even trading during FOMC. Just because the guy, whatever he says, can derail any good setup, right? So, I mean, I guess I'll be on and we can like take a look at stuff, but you're just taking pure lottos in FOMC, or you're just completely done. Just as a general warning for the day. All right. Let's see if anything sets up, but for now, I mean, we're pushing up into this rug pull on SPY. We're getting a little closer. We're still a little bit under the 740, 741. You'd want QQQ, this 677, to step up more in volume. It was just flickering around like 20 to 25% of the king node. You'd want that to push higher to come in as a confluence, but it looks like, I mean, let's see. It looks like we're tapping into it now, but it's just, I'm not seeing much volume there. Honestly, on these maps right now, the only one giving any levels near us is SPY. So I probably wouldn't trade off of this personally, because I don't like to trade off of a single map, right? I always like to ensure there's some level of confluence. So yeah, I mean, sometimes with these odd FOMC or OPEX days, you do end up having to wait. 1 second here. Sorry, I had to sneeze. But you do end up having to wait, right, for more levels to show up near where where price actually is. Right now, everything's quite distant, so just nothing really to bounce off of, right? So anything here, 742 is growing pretty strong. So even though we have the rug pull 740, 741, it's possible we push up to 742 before any kind of like rejection. And I think 742 might line up. Well, it'd still be a little bit under, but it'd get closer to that 7450 on SPX. So you at least have a little bit of confluence if that happens. My map settings are different. No, they should be the same. I'm going to take a screenshot here. And if you mean Trinity, take a screenshot here. Did I change something? Oh, I didn't put King Node. Okay, yeah, I'll switch to King Node. What's up, Rexy? Crow, yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards. It's looking like 742 can maybe get some confluence to 7450, but the weird part here is we do have some very large nodes still upside 746, 748, and 685 on QQQ. So like this is definitely like an intermediate level. It's not top of range at all. But you know, you can give it a go. But I would have liked us to push a bit higher on SPX, maybe hit this 7450 or 7440. Just because at least myself, I'm not comfortable trading off. I don't like to play deflections off a single node. I'll very, very rarely do that. So, but yeah, if you were to do that, 742 obviously is going to be a big level, and then also the rug pull has gotten smaller. So actually, this 742 keeps growing, but we do have a little rug pull here on SPY. King Node SPX all the way down 7300. So again, those we don't know if they're hedges or just large nodes, but it's actually one thing to keep in mind, right? One is these are guaranteed to be, you know, because of FOMC. Now do we know if it's a hedge or not? That's a lot harder to tell. One way to look into that is just look at the growth / decline. So if these just start to tail off and lose volume all day, I'm just like, okay, there's more of a hedge and they're just fading away. They stay pretty strong, then I'd be pretty worried, especially going into like the 2 p.m. catalyst, that there's a potential for some kind of move there. Oh man, my self-centered. Oh, there we go. All right, looks like the rug pull's holding, but again, to me, I don't like that trade personally, just because it's only SPY that's supporting it. Yeah, so FOMC days a bit funkier, so let's just wait and see what happens. But you know, these should be days either you're trading very little or you're trading smaller capital than usual. So just be smart, right, about the conditions. All right. Yeah, I want to see more volume popping up, like actually close to price, right? SPX and QQQ are not giving us much to go off of because everything's so far away. QQQ's starting to pop up a couple of nodes here, so 677. So this will help out what we're seeing on SPY, right? The 677 growing a bit more, because now you actually have a bit of confluence there. Is this normal? T-Lee, again, it's OPEC. It's FOMC. So no, it's not normal, but it's because of FOMC. So it's very expected, right? We're going to see some quite odd nodes. Okay. So yeah, the 677 it's like right on the fringe, but it looks like, yeah, that one played out with the rug pull on SPY. But we're still 10 minutes from open, so I'd rather just wait and see if we get something a bit cleaner once we push towards 10. Why does FOMC? Yeah, because I mean the guy. So FOMC is just a big news catalyst, right? A lot of people have eyes on it. Oh wait, 1 second. Sorry, there's a member that having access issues. So yeah, FOMC is very dependent. One, like whatever decision they come out with at the 2 p.m. Sometimes we'll even move off of that. But the real issue is at 2:30. I don't even know what the official like title is, but what was previously Powell, but now is Warsh, whatever their job is, they come on and they start answering a bunch of questions, etc. So like we don't know what they're gonna say, right? So the market moves very heavily based on what they say, and so it is very hard to anticipate, what is the direction. So people they hedge both ways. You get like huge amounts of volume on FOMC days. You get some maps that reshuffle a bit more rapid than usual. Like stuff is just all over the place, and so that's why, yeah, we get some funkier maps, and we get even like not even funky maps. Sometimes we just get really weird price movement in general, right? Sometimes we chop all day until 2 p.m. Sometimes we actually move cleanly, but it's just not a very predictable day. Are we about to nuke? I don't know, potentially. I mean, those have been there all week. And that's still an 120-point drop. I'm not too sure. Like to me, I don't think we get that big of a nuke, I'll be honest. I don't anticipate that, but the risk is there, obviously, those notes. Selling calls? Naked calls or a call credit spread math? Yeah, it's a good point, J-Wing, right? Like it's obviously SPX has been there all week, but like you cannot overfixate on just, oh, there's this huge node there, or up or down. This is still a full picture, and if you're not analyzing the full thing, then you're going to get caught out chasing some nodes that never happen. So I'm not saying 7300 is not going to happen, but I'm saying that cannot be the only thing you're fixated on. Call credit spreads, man, that's a pretty tight stop. I mean, it's up to you, Mav, ultimately, but it depends what strikes you have in that stuff. But to sell call credit spreads with that tight of a stop loss, you likely have to be already at the deflection node. So yeah, if you're playing the SPY ceiling, then I can see that. It's like earnings for the whole market. Yeah, you can call it that. Actually, but it's worse than earnings. Like usually earnings is just, up or down. Well, no, it's like earnings, right? Sometimes we just IV crush. So FOMC, sometimes you just look at contract prices. They're all super inflated. Everyone's waiting for 2 p.m. and then 2:30 when he starts the press conference. And then nothing happens. Like I've seen FOMCs that just dip, revert, and then just stay flat the whole day. I've seen FOMCs that cause, 1%, 2% down day. Like it's just very hard to anticipate the impact. Oh, Lithium's in here. What's up, man? A positive node below is more likely a hedge than directional. Okay, you're saying if it was positive versus negative? I don't think I've actually noticed any correlation. There probably is one. I haven't picked up on one, I'll be honest. Hey, GG. So see, yeah, it looks like this rug pull here on SPY is holding. I will say though that SPY, what was previously a huge air pocket down to 735, if we see 736 through 738 continue to grow, these can then start pushing in and sliding a higher floor in, right? So we'll see if these nodes keep growing, but they're just now getting to the fringe of 20, 25% of that king node. So again, I mean, yeah, to me, this is pretty junk. How do I? Oh, also, like now you can slide the little chart settings thing. So your color things on, you can actually see what happens to Trinity as you like shift a lot of these settings. You can also see it down here. So if you shift like the colorways, you see the impact down here. It's a little bit more accurate. Before it was only showing positive nodes, so you couldn't really see like the full. So you guys can pull up the like, I guess it's funny. A lot of these colorways are like our competitors. So, I'll just stick to the default. Overall king node weight on SPY is light. Yeah, that's something to note, Crow. I will say it's very early in the day, so probably by 11, we probably start pushing towards the usual 100,000. Like the volumes in general would just grow throughout the day. That's a behavior that exists. Like end of day, we're always looking at 500,000 or more, right? So it does build throughout the day. So that's something to always remember. But no, that is like some days it is lighter than others, I will say. And for example, like 20,000 from the get-go on SPX is stronger than usual. A lot of times when the day starts on SPX, you're only dealing with like a $10,000 node. Like the actual absolute value. I'm not someone that pays too much attention to like what is the value. I mean, obviously I do, but I only view it relative to its column. I really don't compare day over day or SPY to QQQ stuff like that. I pay very little attention to like, is this 100,000 by this time or 300,000? There probably is a correlation there. I don't do it as well. I don't do it. I don't. Not that I don't do it. I don't pay attention to it for any big sign, I suppose. Forbes, could market makers be starting off the day with some solid data decay? Yeah, I mean, Forbes, they could data decay this thing to 2 p.m. and then make the whole move down to 7,300 during FOMC and the press conference. Like that's the thing with this kind of days, it's hard to know, is this a move that's going to happen previous to the release and then the press conference, or is this just something that people are hedged, it's just going to sit there and then the guy starts talking and then boom, we get this huge like drop off. So again, it's a lot of people are just not even trade FOMC. It's just like, what's the point? And if you're going to trade FOMC, just take it easy, don't be doing anything rash. Yeah, so again, FOMC is one of the trickier days, so you'd want to see very quality setups, and then so maps open straight up and we just have huge air pocket on SPY QQQ. This is almost tells us nothing, right? So that's the big issue with what I'm seeing right now. It's just SPY in this big stack, then QQQ SPX not helping at all. So that's, like I said, SPY has a few nodes here that are right on the fringe of like they might influence, but we'd want to see those keep growing and see if it can put in like slide in some floors. But yeah, looks like we're getting a bit of a drop here. That's 676, 677, those nodes. Do you have any other resources on Guan Yu? Crow, if you go to the Discord, Guan Yu has a thread that he's posted. Let me think about this. He's probably posted in that thread almost every day for like half a year, maybe more. I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly how long. You go to that thread and just read all of that, and that's all you'll need. It's not all you'll need, but it'll really help. Yeah, just go through the thread, try to understand his charts, how he's drawing the IFEGs, understand what is an extreme IFEG. Like there's a lot of stuff. His strategy is simple at its core, but there's a lot of nuances he applies as well, just through like market experience. So try to pick up a lot of these extra side rules that I did not cover in the video, but are covered in his thread. Okay, Apple. Let me open another tab here for individual tickers. Apple at 345. Why is Apple always... Apple moves however it feels like. All right. Yeah, someone had asked me 340 rejection down, so I hope they didn't trade that. I think I told them it's looking a little weird. Yeah, 345 is more top of range, so I think that could work on Apple. Is this a level? Is Apple at all-time highs? Am I tripping? Oh, it is. What the heck? Yeah, it is the top of the range on the day. Yeah, I guess you can try that, and you'd be playing for But I don't know. I like shorting these all-time high takers. They're a little weird to do. Thanks, John Boy, for sending that. So yeah, we'll see with the Apple one, but there's not much chart level to go off of there. And also make sure they don't roll volume from like 340 to 342. So you see how 342 has started to grow. So again, if this pushes higher, this could be a floor slipping in, like we're rolling the floor one level higher. Especially if you start to see 340 shrink off and 342 just keep growing and take on a lot of that volume. All right. SoFi. Oh, SoFi gapped out. SoFi had a good reaction off the 16.5 level. Wait, does SoFi have earnings? Or is it today? Oh, it just had earnings. All right, if something just had earnings, just let it play out. I wouldn't trade it. Floor on ES. Oh, I assume you mean ES. All right, so it looks like sorry. Looks like these SPY levels did not continue to grow, so the air pocket's back. So it looks like we're flushing a bit through there. QQQ is putting a lot more volume in here. This 685 is having a huge drop off in volume. So the fact that 685, right, we have 685 sort of upwards hedge, and then this 7300, 7290 downward side hedges. So like those are kind of battling it out, and it's looking like, at least for the moment, the 685 is dropping off big time, right? 34% in 5 minutes, huge drop in volume. Meanwhile, we're getting that same kind of levels of growth on the downside. So I'm leaning a bit more towards this downside being like the real position, if that makes sense. Let's see, 671 has put in a bit of a floor here, though. Yeah, like this node basically nearly doubled past 15 minutes. Just potential that can step in, and then SPY you'd be waiting for the 735, maybe 736 as well. But the strong level in SPY is this double positive down here. All right. Yeah, SPX is down there, 7300. So again, the rough play here would have been the rug pull on SPY. I would have liked higher to play that. But I also like there was very little confluence on that drop. So I mean, me personally, I wouldn't be taking it. But that would have been the trade if you're looking for this downside bias. Okay. Oh man. Sorry for the cough. It looks like 671 is getting a little bit of a reaction. I mean, to me, there's not much confluence on any of these bounces so far, so I haven't really liked anything at all. Yeah, rug pull on SPY did work out. Oh, true, John Boy. Yeah, I don't. For whatever reason, I still chart the dark pools, but I don't like. I don't know. I kind of like just ignore them somehow, even though they're on my chart. I need to pay a bit more, a bit more attention on those. But yeah, John Boy, that's a good point. Like there was confluence if you're including this SPY dark pool, but it was very small reaction for now. I guess on the 1 minute it'll probably show up. Yeah, it showed up. I mean, we got a decent pop, and it's almost reverted it instantly. Yeah, John. Yeah, I think I need to spend a bit more time using the dark pools to like probably just build some confidence in them. But Yeah, for me, I don't. I very rarely see them in the moment and use them in the moment. But that's just it's a personal thing. There's probably people who very easily use them. All right, let's see. All right, so SPY, QQQ are having decent confluence, right? Towards like the two positive stacks they've built at 734, 733, and then 668, 667. So that's probably what we'd be looking at. Can I share orb set? No, I can share them now. I don't. And things are moving, but I don't really want to trade any of this. Anyways, Rebecca, you can go ahead and screenshot this. All right, let's see. I mean, we did hit that 671 fully. Again, it's a negative node, so there's a chance we just undershoot and it holds, but this has basically no confluence. Just the dark pool level, but it's sort of solo map-wise. So for me, again, issue with the drop at the beginning is there's no confluence. Same issue here. There's still no confluence on any of this. So at least for myself, those are not trades I like to take. All right, let me get rid of these, Rebecca. All right, now it looks like we're truly just flushing through. So again, these negative nodes can undershoot and still hold, but when it's just sort of sitting there alone, it has no help from SPY or SPX. It's going to be a lot less likely we do hold. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, today I'm going to be a bit lighter on the analysis just because it's FOMC, so it's just not much. I mean, in my view, there's just not much to do. I mean, if it wasn't for I was trading on my own, I just wouldn't trade today. I'll be honest. But let's see. Yeah, we do have these two. A bit of confluence here on SPY QQQ if we can get down to some of these levels. Or your math, yeah, I forgot you did call credit spread. Yep, you should be up nice. Yeah, so 685 still tailing off pretty big time. So they've actually flipped King Node down here towards this positive stack on QQQ. Still have a bit of growth on these nodes down here. Connor, good point. Right. So the Atlas orbs, it's just based on your settings. So I decide how tall or not they are. I'm of the opinion it's better to put a little bit of height on them. I wouldn't go all the way up. Which one is this influencing? I don't know which map I'm adjusting right here, but I think on SPY this will work. Sorry, give me a second. I don't like them being very thin because people start thinking there's air pockets all this everywhere when they're really not air pockets. Like this is just a 742 positive node under a 743 positive node, so it's just a stack of positive nodes. So if you give it a bit of height, it's a little easier to tell, right? Like, oh, okay, this is a positive node. So I wouldn't go too big. I don't know why it's not going higher, but if you go too big, they start overlapping and it gets confusing. But hopefully that makes sense. Raked. Rejecting VIX T1. Oh, I don't, that stuff I don't know. I don't follow. So I have a video going over my settings and why I chose them. So if you have time, you can probably watch that and then, but ultimately everyone should be picking the settings they're comfortable with, but it can at least give you a bit of a starting point if you watch that video. What's pivot today? I don't know. That's architects proprietary stuff. Oh man, so we are bouncing there. Let's try to reclaim this 670 and dark bull level. This is a huge undershoot, I'll be honest. It's like $1.50 almost. Really extreme. Actually, King node QQQ's flipped back up to 685. That node is very odd. User, I would say two of them did. QQQ had major upside at the beginning. So you can short off SPY. I think I said like SPY, the rug pull was there. I prefer to have confidence on the deflection spot. That's my personal preference. But yeah, you can trade if you're playing targets. Just always make sure there's at least one index that's going to reverse you, right? I would not just play downside because you have big nodes down there if you have no ceiling. But SPY did have a ceiling, so I can see the justification there. Right, it didn't have a floor, but it also, like, if you're using the logic that SPX is going to help pull price down, but you're going to ignore QQQ, then that's not really, I mean, I don't know. In my mind, you have to apply it to both the same way, you know? But yeah, user, I mean, if you're comfortable taking the trade, then, you know, take it. But that's how I view it. But even in QQQ, we did have this large upside node, but I think I'd have to go back and check. But probably if you combine these two positive nodes, they're probably similar in volume, actually, now that I think back to it. But if that's a 3 for 3 for you, then trade it, right? It's because it's not for me doesn't mean it can't be for you. Still, user, why? I guess why? User, to me, SPY had a ceiling, but again, all the trades I like to take as A setups need to have at least two ceilings, like ceilings on two maps, and that was not the case. So for me, it was a no trade moment. But if you're comfortable taking a ceiling on SPY with downside targets on SPX, on SPY, and QQQ as well, QQQ is more split, right? Because it has 685 and the downside. If you're comfortable with that, then you can take that trade absolutely. So hopefully that makes sense. It's again, I mean, I'm interpreting them how I do, but again, I trade a bit more cautiously than most people, so that can absolutely be a fine trade for you. No, SPY had a ceiling. I said we had the rug pull and we had the 742 higher node. I did want SPY to go a little bit higher, like for me to have considered it. I probably would have wanted to see SPY a bit higher, but yeah, we rejected off the negative node of the rug pull and then flushed down. Yeah, SPX had no ceiling. The ceiling was a bit higher towards 7450, right? And QQQ was this 677 was like teetering, where it was like at like 20%, 18. It was like just under. But I wanted to see that grow a little more to start calling it like a stronger ceiling. NBIS map, I mean, it looks like it's tested this 165 1, 2, 3 times. Fourth time, it looks like it's broken through. This one's very light on volume as well. So we've already we've double topped at this 170 node. I don't know if I'd be using that as a target. And we really have nothing to deflect off of if you want more upside. All right, hopefully that makes sense, user. I think Connor was also explaining a lot there, so thanks, Connor. Hopefully that helped. All right. All right, 673 just showed up out of nowhere. So like a small rug pull on QQQ. I mean, to me, guys, there's not much it's not much we should be chasing on a day like today. Not chasing, but I guess like just doing it all. All right. Yeah, so QQQ, a bit of a rug pull there. SPY is still trying to put in some positive nodes. So actually, I have my settings different. My Trinity is set to 20% for the dim, and my Atlas is set to 25. So that's why you're seeing nodes that flare up here that actually are not showing up on Atlas. And that was actually intentional. Actually, I wanted to see right when they're very close to showing up, and then I'll flip to Atlas to see if they really do show up. So if I see a pop on Atlas, then it's sort of a confirmation that it is a bit stronger there. All right, looks like that rug pull on QQQ is playing out like huge. So if you're downwards biased because of this hedge node, you probably would want to be shorting off of any ceiling you see, basically, because of that 7300 node. Price wick higher. Yeah. It's still just they've been pretty solo Confluence, right? Like this was QQQ alone. The earlier drop was mostly SPY alone. So it's just no Confluence today. So I'm not liking it too much. But who knows? Maybe we'll see something that gets better. All right. Nailing the entry is hard, not just waiting for. Yeah, I mean, first you need to have the patience and be able to build a thesis. But yeah, there's also, but that's sort of like phase 2 pro, right? Like once you're able to build a thesis consistently, then you can work on like, okay, I just need to tweak my entry here, like make small adjustments. So it's a better problem to be in because it means you're a little bit later along. The 7300 being positive gives it less risk. What do you mean by that, Raked? Like less risk of hitting or less risk of, I don't know what do you mean there? Yeah, Jojo, exactly. Like honestly, that's why I'm not saying too much here. I mean, one, the setups just don't look clean, but then two, it's FOMC, so I'm not gonna. It's not that I'm not taking it serious, but I'm not taking it with too much. I'm not trying that hard to find a setup, I guess, if that makes sense. No, I don't think it's less likely to hit because it's positive instead of negative. I don't think so. Has Glitch said something like that? Or I mean, there might be some pattern I haven't recognized, but I have never thought of them that way. We have to see. They're stepping in volume again, 737, 736. So again, if these nodes continue to grow, they're sliding in a floor there. Right now, these are still pretty weak. They're under the third, but they're around to a quarter, a king node on SPY. But if those keep pumping up, then it's possible they slip in a floor. But at the moment, the floors are still where we were a while ago, what they were on the first drop, which is this double stack on SPY QQQ. Yeah, Icon. So one, NVIDIA is almost always going to have stronger nodes on Friday because the Friday even though they switched to having Monday, Wednesday, Friday expirations, the Friday expirations still carry the most volume. So it does not surprise me that the stronger nodes are over there. And you can use them. Like, so for example, 7300 was around, it's been around the past 2 days. So even Monday, when we had that big sell-off, you could say, okay, a big part of that might be the pull that 7300 is taking effect, even though it's 2 days out, it can still be pulling in a little bit. So yeah, same thing on Icon as like you said on NVIDIA, right? Sometimes the later expirations, if very large, can influence what you see on the current day. Yeah, no problem, Icon. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we have these small gatekeepers, right? 736, 737. We have the old 671 that bounced, along with the dark pool. This dark pool did undershoot really steep. Like it's almost a full dollar under before it bounced up. So this is, I don't know. I mean, like most of the stuff we see today is going to be kind of awkward looking. I'm just going to end up saying this is just OPEX. Looks like we're here. We may drop through this. Yeah, if we drop down, then these double positive stacks are going to be, I mean, regardless, those are the safer plays, right? Those are much stronger levels. So let's see if we can get there. Let me check. Is there futures levels I'm forgetting about? Oh, okay. So ES is hitting this low. It finally swept out the low from 2 days ago. So actually, that's pretty big on ES. NQ has not. Oh my goodness, we're getting the divergence again. So as we start sweeping these overnight lows and these, either previous day or 2 previous day lows, there's also chart-wise, there's a chance we get a reaction on one of these. So I think the NQ one would line up pretty well. Yeah, the NQ one lines up pretty well with this double positive stack. If you can see, it's very faint, but you see these 2 diamonds, sets of diamonds down here. That's going to be your 667 and 668 showing up on NQ. Same with SPY. Like we're approaching those double positive stacks. I mean, so I would like if we got all the way down there. Hopefully they don't bounce it. Yesterday they bounced early on ES. I was waiting for a sweep in the morning, and so I just took no trade, which was incredibly annoying, but I'm hoping they don't do that again. Give me a second here. Let me pull up a proper so I can actually know what these numbers are on my side monitor. Okay, so low from 2 days ago was 604 on NQ. Oh, this is weird. 659 growing. Okay, 659 just popped. This is a ton of positive volume to get through though. Yeah, this is the first confluence moment I've seen on the day, right? That's what I'll say on the SPY QQQ. It looks like we swept out overnight, barely. Wait, am I seeing this right? Overnight was 640.25. Yeah, it looks like we swept that out. So it's a chance we react here and bounce a little early. If not, then we're going to get that low from, let's say, July 28, and then probably react there. So yeah, let's see. I'm just reverse rug pull here on SPY. QQQ has this double positive stack that we tapped close. Oh man, if they bounce us early again, That's ridiculous. It's gonna be second day in a row. Icon. So both negative and positive nodes can reject. So I wouldn't think about it hard and soft, right? It's more just like how volatile it is, right? So a lot of time negative nodes, like let's say the 671, we came and we rejected, but you got this huge wick under, right? Positive nodes are less likely to have these like giant wicks. And so yes, a lot of times the price movement can be a bit slower, but we're still dealing with the first hour of market open, right? First hour, hour and a half of the market are usually going to be the most volatile. Whether it's positive or negative, you're going to get some pretty explosive moves. So don't view it as like positive nodes must move slow. So, we don't want to trade them. A lot of times they'll give, think about it this way, like the 742, well, this was yesterday, but 742 rejected down, pretty easily, especially in the afternoon. Or like the very late afternoon. Or even in the morning, right? These bounces upwards were off 636, 637, or sorry, 737, 736, and those were definitely not soft moves, right? Yeah, exactly. Nickels and dimes. Like positive, negative tells you the behavior, right? What goes first is what is the volume. They bounce this early. I'll be pretty annoyed, actually. I'm hoping they come down. I'm hoping they come down and test some of these stacks more head on, but because this is really early to get in. Like we didn't even tap within 50 cents of any of these positive nodes. GG, watch out with shorts already went a long way, so watch out with that. BE short from 185. Oh wait, this is not individuals. BE from 180. Oh yeah. Holy, yeah, this one's playing out really well. Dark pool? Yeah, dude. Yeah, 185 dark pool. GG, was it you that asked me yesterday? Why do I want to tap? I prefer to wait for the tap. You can play it early. I prefer to wait for the tap. We don't always need a literal tap, but usually like we'll get to within 50 cents. Like usually 50 cents is our kind of zone. We didn't even tap within 50 cents. So you would have had to be entering really early. So our futures, NQ had the low from 12:45 a.m. midnight. So that was the level. There was that level at 641, and then at 604 was the July 28 lows. So I was looking at those two levels on indexes, on futures. Academy says we don't need a tap. It can bounce early, but you can also the user, that's personal preference. If you want to play an early bounce versus the tap itself is a more conservative entry. You want to play it early, it's a bit more aggressive, right? Yeah, Sui, that overnight low. User, that question is very subjective, right? Like it's some people like to play it early and they scale in. Some people wait for the taps. Some people wait for the overshoots, right? That's not something that needs to be the same for everyone, right? Some people just trade more or less aggressive than others. I'd have to go check the wording in Academy, but I didn't think it was. I don't know. I have to go check the wording. All right. Yeah, Rexy, good point, right? Like obviously, the more aggressive of an entry you take, you're potentially exposing yourself to more drawdown. I will say during very volatile periods, so like March, April, when all the terror, like all the news stuff was going on and all that, there are times where I would expand my zone from half a dollar to a full dollar. But like that was more in just high periods of volatility. And to me, I mean, the market's not stable right now, but it's not as volatile as it was, a couple months ago. So I'd have to think about it, but I still haven't shifted to like the full dollar. But there was a period I was trading with the full dollar of, it could bounce a dollar early or a dollar late. But it's been a bit of time since I've done that. See you, Connor. Thanks for the help. What are my dark pool settings? I actually don't know if these are optimal. I think I have it to 180. So actually, let's flick through them. One of these gives dark pool levels closer. I'll flip to that. But yeah, so you notice how 30 and 45, they're just not near price. So a lot of times I'll just spam through them until I see levels that are actually close to price. I don't know if it's probably not the best way to use it, I'll admit, but that's how I do. So wow, so it looks like we did bounce early there. So the NQ overnight level was the chart idea there, and a reverse rug pull on SPY. Snow. You're saying snow for downside, like off 285? Snow is really weird. This is a ton of negative gamma. I don't know if I've seen a map like this in a while. What's this? Yeah, I don't know if I like Snow, Gabe. There's just, I mean, some of these nodes are up at 80%. So like they could very easily free flip a little bit more volume out to 272. I mean, whether they flip that volume or not, there's still a ton of volume upside that could sort of influence a reverse rug pull. And honestly, the first time we came to tap this level, we almost gapped above it anyways. I don't know. Yeah, I'd likely skip. I mean, it's the middle of the range too. You could play maybe a break retest at 285 if you really want, but I'd probably skip. Oh, I think Dark Pool, we also tried to add 10. Oh, it's not added yet. Okay, I messaged the developer to add 10 because someone had asked me. So soon enough, you'll be able to have 10 nodes. Yeah, GG, it's not the it's not the best day. Yeah, you got B puts. Those are runners should be doing nicely. Nvidia. Oh, maybe I should track Nvidia. Should track chips more. Yeah, Nvidia put in a nice ceiling. What is the P? I'll just send you a video about this. Give me a second. Son, you can watch this later, but basically P is just the, instead of using the top 5 volume nodes, it's just taking P40 would be anything that's 40% of the king node or higher will be shown on the atlas. So it's the same as going into these color settings and switching the minimum king node up here to 40. Same thing. SPX king node is, no, it's been where it's always been, right? Why is my name pink? Do y'all see my name is pink in the chat? What is going on right now? Premiums are insane. Yeah, IV's probably spiked due to FOMC. Oil data at 10:30. Okay, that's good to know. I'm not to pay attention to that. QQQ once again is weaker than SPY. So first time we came down, they were actually really close. QQQ is not hitting this floor. SPY is not yet there. So I think NQ has now finally swept the July 28 lows. Yes, it has. So let's see what happens here, but it's potential we get some kind of bounce off these positive nodes. Yeah, there's a lot of volume popping up lower on SPY as well, but we'll see if these hold these levels at all. All right. Yeah, premiums are bad. I guess if you're trading futures, the premium side worries you less. But yeah, for anyone on options, this may be pretty nasty IV on these contracts. We get pinned here, the positive note. I would definitely expect that this is going to slow us down. Like we've had a pretty steep sell-off. I would expect that this is going to slow us down. Because for us to now push towards 7,300, we need to first break these big stacks, right? On SPY and QQQ. So we need to break out, like sort of drag through those stacks, flip them to ceilings, and then continue downwards, which can't happen. Like there's still, what is this? You know, there's still a lot of hours left in the market day. But I would definitely expect it would be a little slower than the move we've had so far. Do I recommend selling contracts because the premiums are higher, Jay Wang? You can. Like I know some people like to play FOMC spreads to take advantage, but the only thing I'd say there is make sure any position you're considering is like you're cutting before the guy speaks. And make sure, even though you're selling contracts, make sure you're still playing a reversal, right? So you still need to be looking for what is going to be your reversal spot, etc. Just because it's a sold play and it's therefore a little bit more favorable with data does not mean that we just ignore the timing, right? So still be very picky with your timing on the entry. Hopefully that makes sense, Jay Wayne. So like the big issue with sell, like if you're selling a credit spread here, what's the big problem? Yes, there's a potential we bounce price here, but because of these huge nodes, I would not want to be selling that close to the money, or I'd be, keeping a close eye on it, because what if we do end up dragging through these nodes and going down to 7,300, right? So still, even though we've had a down day, still risky to sell a put credit spread. Or if you're gonna do it, you'd have to do like, if you do it at the money and it's like just a small scalp, that's fine. If you're gonna go for like the out the money strategy, you'd have to go super far out the money, because there's a risk that the 7,300 ends up, we bleed towards it by end of day, right? But at least for now, we're holding these positive nodes. So it looks like the confluence there is holding pretty nicely. Falcon hasn't taken a trade today. Yeah, it's not too surprising to me. Because there's just been no confluence, right? Like there have been a few moments that did work, but they're mostly just going off of a single map or something like that, right? I'd say this is probably the first moment we've had solid confluence. But the big issue here is we still have the 7,300 node that's kind of, it's a little bit scary, right? So it's a bit of a scalp bounce here, but I don't know if this can hold super strong. We'll have to see, right? So took a look at Google 330. Google, let me check KG. So you wanted to play. You wanted to play 330 as a target, KG? To me, so you're playing like a break and retest of 332. I think one is like, it's not a chase, but like it's a continuation, right? So I would, to me, in this case, what I'd rather do is just wait for 330 and just play the bounce upwards, right? Like that's a much simpler thesis to do. It's the bottom of the range. It's a lot safer rather than trying to play break and retest towards 330. This is also a pretty small risk reward, right? A $2 move on Google. I mean, it'll pay, but sometimes you can get, larger moves. So yeah, I mean, to me, what I say is just wait for the edges of the range, and those will be a bit safer. All right, we get in a pretty solid bounce here. I've not looked at options premiums, but futures, they're moving decent. Obviously, futures don't have any kind of IV or theta issues. So we undershot the July 28 low by like 50 points. Like honestly, it undershot pretty steep. But again, part of the hint you can use there is you have the hint you have there of like maybe it's going to go a little lower is we started hitting this QQQ floor. SPY was still a little bit above. So if you waited, okay, hunt a little bit deeper into this positive node stack, wait for SPY to hit, then you'll get a much closer to bottom tick entry, right? Yeah, GG, these are, again, I mean, it's still been a pretty strong downtrend, but this was the first, to me, good confluence moment. I'd have to go check options, like an options chart to see if you could have actually pulled 30% here. I think you could, right? Like if you're looking bottom to top, this is $1.50. So I would be surprised if there was not a way to get 30% on this. But I did not take on options myself, so I can't have to go check that later. But I mean, yeah, like if you're looking at NQ, this is already almost 100 points here, right? So definitely a reaction there. Been a strong sell-off, but again, waiting for good moments of confluence, you can catch a pretty solid bounce. How would I chart this? So I'm not showing it on my monitor because most people here don't trade futures, but I was just looking at this level over here. So the first one was this overnight low, which we did get a bit of a reaction here on this big wick. And then this low from July 28, that's what I was looking at. Once I was going to take it right there. Once I noticed that the SPY's floor still hadn't been touched, I decided to wait a little longer on QQQ. I can go pull the entry if you want, but I don't remember the exact number. Okay, so this is actually bouncing a lot stronger than I thought. I took my entry at 549 on NQ. No, user, please ask anything you need. That's the whole point of these sessions. So it should, I mean, it's already bounced, right? We've bounced from 666.5 all the way to, this is more than $2 already, right? So the logic here, user, is you want to be buying as price is pushing down. So as we are pushing down, we hit 668, which is where I was initially going to buy. But if you look at this 1020 candle on SPY, we were still not at this positive stack. So I said, you know what, let me stall off a little bit more, see if we can get the safer entry once they both hit the floors. And once SPY was approaching 734 and QQQ was sort of at this double stack on the low end, I said, all right, you know what, we can try here. And even if you take the low entry, like you go to 667, we bounced $2 off of that. Definitely enough for a good trade there. That's actually a good point, John Boy. I hadn't even noticed these negative nodes on top of QQQ. But even a $2 reaction, sometimes that's all we get. So we have to be careful sometimes. There's not always going to be a massive V-shaped reversal. And also a big clue for us of like, oh, maybe I don't want to hold this that long is we still have the 7,300 lingering around. We still actually have the 685. This is really weird. This is just a really weird day. But yeah, that would have been a clue to like scalp it a little bit more, is that we still have those big SPX downside nodes. How to trade MU? Holy shoot. We reject. I don't even know if I trade this. Because the problem was when you even hit 820, the downside looked like it was 810 or even 800. We actually just blew through all those. But at the intended entry point, it looked like there was pretty strong floors really close to price, so I probably would have skipped. Now that we're down here, I don't know, it looks like every level's basically just been flipped to a ceiling. So MU, I don't really like it at all. I don't really like how memory moves, so I'll be honest. I don't like trading it much at all. Fudge, yeah, all good Fudge. I mean, it was hopefully the thesis you saw is what I'm hoping for everyone, is that was clear. Y'all can, entry and catching that's fine. Like that'll improve with time, but hopefully the thesis and why I waited this whole time until to finally play a bounce here, I hope that's clear. Reverse rug on QQQ, yeah, but to me the bounce was already, it's a SPY reverse rug and QQQ sort of hunting the low side of its positive node stack. Has Jewel made a video? I don't believe so, Jayep, and I have not. Yeah, this is also my fault. I've been a bit lazy. I have not checked. I have not used that feature myself either. Otherwise, I would make a video on it, but I'm a bit lacking on there. Yeah, memory got a big correction. So like I never traded memory on the way up because it's just the IVs were crazy. It was, everyone was just like in a frenzy about it. So whenever things get a little too, if they get talked about too much, I stopped trading them. Bullish or bearish? I mean, it's bearish for sure. Yeah, I can't argue with the chart. IBIT. I don't think I've never traded this ticker. Does IBIT have a lot of I guess it has a lot of extended hours movement. But it looks like 36.5. We have like a decent support. This is a previous support. Looks like it's flipped to a resistance. On the downside, maybe you have this 36-ish that can maybe flip and be support now. That does not align. Like the heat map doesn't help with that though. The heat map's saying 35. I guess we have this wick down here. There's still this 35.5. I don't know. I don't even know if is the IBIT. I've never traded this. Is the IBIT map very accurate compared to Bitcoin, or should I be pulling up a Bitcoin chart and then charting stuff there? I feel like I should probably be looking at the Bitcoin chart. I do not sound like a degen at all. I'm not a degen anymore. But I used to be really bad. I mean, no one was here when the group was like 20 people. When the group was 20 people, I'd have moments where I'm 80% of my port on like a power hour play, right? So I've already done all the degen stuff I need to, and yeah, it's just, that's how I know it's not sustainable long term. So yeah, I've done it all. Don't worry. But that's why I've gone pretty extreme to the cautious side, is because I know the minute I start putting in like, oh, let me put a lotto here, lotto there, I just lose my mind, right? So, and that's also why anytime, if I'm on stream or if I'm taking any trade I don't think I should be, that's why I use so many prop firms, right? I don't even care if like I get payouts or not. I'm just using it to take bad trades basically and not lose real money. All right, not too bearish for now. Yeah, these big positive stacks are, especially SPY. So it was previously a 2. It's not like there's a huge stack of 4. So we have to clear a lot of positive volume to get this big flush to 7,300. QQQ still has a positive stack as well. QQQ is definitely weaker. So we might get a weird scenario where SPY is going to be at floors and then all these levels are going to flip to a ceiling on QQQ. I really hope that doesn't happen, because then the divergence is going to be really awkward to navigate. But it looks like that might be setting up. What is the blue circle icon? This is like some chat bot thing. I don't know. It's in testing. Oh, this is how you find Falcon. Oh, I didn't even know that's how you do this. Look, and we also have myself on live. Wait, I didn't even know you could do this. So we can have look, Architect and Jack. We can see what they're saying. They got the catch. Oh no. Wait, this bubble's cool. I didn't know this was. I think you also get a look. You get glitch. You get what glitch is saying on Discord. An X. I don't want to look at these X. Look right here. Day like today, easy day to piss away weeks of profits if you're not careful. All right. So I don't know. Yeah, the warning's there. I've said it like 5 times, and Glitch has said it a ton of times as well. Dark side only. yeah. I told you guys, like every trader's gone through these same cycles, right? So, but since I've gone through them, I don't want to go do it again, right? I've also struggled. I struggled a lot with getting to where I am, so I don't want to. It's not a place I want to go back to. How do you know where to take profit for the trade today? Typically I scale between 30-50% if it's options. So this move should have been enough for 30 to 40, I believe. Futures, I don't really have a good system for futures. I'm really bad with futures, I'll be honest, because what I do, since you can just like move everything on the chart, I end up like I move my stops to break even. I keep like extending my take profit. So I have really bad futures habits, like actually a really terrible trader on futures, because it allows, it's just too easy to be moving it around and get greedy, right? So options is better because I can set like my sell limits, and then I just close Webull and I never look at it again, or I don't look at it until like much later. But futures, like I blow myself, like the entries are not bad, but I blow myself up all the time just because I'm pushing for higher profits, etc. So GG on the future side, none. Options platforms, those are fine. But futures, I suck. Going over what I just was saying there. Confluence with charts and maps with SPX. Yeah, so there's good confluence. The bounce was there, but again, we still have these huge downside nodes. So, you're probably not looking at a full V-shaped reversal like we had a few days ago, right? I entered 27,615. Whoa, 27,615. Sui, did you enter on the way up or on the way down? Okay, if you're at break even, I think you already got stopped off. Yeah, options funding, I think like the option side, I can always control myself a bit more. I don't know why. People always say futures are easier, but not for me. User 3FL, I think we're working to add this at some point. So probably what it'll be for y'all is like, just delete all this Talon, Falcon, whatever. Maybe Talon, I think Talon's supposed to be like a little chat bot. See like, hey, I'm your trading agent. I don't even know what I'd ask it. Like, oh, why? Why would I not trade MU today? I wonder how smart this is. I've never tried this. I don't know how long that takes, but yeah, like these 3 are not going to be released. I think Glitch just has them there, but I don't know. I don't use them. I don't know how long that thing takes to reply, but the goal is long term. Like we'll have some kind of chat bot where people can be like, oh, like, there's a big set of positive nodes on SPY. Like, what's one of the risks of why it could fail? And then they'd be like, oh, QQQ's kind of flipped to a ceiling now. So at least I think that's my hope. But some of the chat, or maybe like, what does this setting do? And the chat bot will be like, oh, this is what it does. How do you make your background on Atlas white? Up here by your username, you have the light mode, dark mode. The mono doesn't matter. That's a flow seeker thing. Index sniper release. I don't know. I don't know about any of the release dates. Like I mean, I've tested some of the stuff, giving feedback to the developers, but actually some of the stuff I haven't even tested, I'll be honest. But the release dates, that's more of a business decision, so that falls to Glitch. Well, 1, the developers need to have it ready, and then 2, Glitch needs to like go through it and approve it himself. Can I show charts now? Oh, wait, I forgot I'm supposed to have screen share off on community. Whoops. Glitch gonna get mad at me. Can I show charts? What do you mean, can I show charts? They're still up, right? I never took them away. Yeah, I was gonna say the double bottom would be interesting here because we saw these SPY floors. And this happened a few days ago. So Monday, y'all remember QQQ was weaker. SPY double bottom held, and we got this huge reversal. And then I didn't play it because QQQ was weaker, so I got scared off. So this is kind of setting up to be very similar, except it's still these SPX nodes throwing everything off. Like, and honestly, like if you just want to play small autos for these nodes without it being something massive, you can always just butterfly these, right? If you butterfly 7300, well, it's a bit late now, but if you would have butterfly 7300 right at the beginning, kind of mad I didn't think about this. Like these would be massive in profits, right? And because it's a butterfly spread, you get a way cheaper entry than just taking some random puts. How much capital do I trade with? No, I trade like nowadays. I trade like max like $500. Usually, I'm doing like $200-300. So again, I mean, getting to what I was saying earlier, right? If I didn't scale down severely, yeah, I'd still be doing the same dumb stuff I used to do in the past. So I trade actually very, very small size. I'm gonna call off the second balance, but relatively tight stop. Yeah, Fudge, that seems fine. Because yeah, now the problem is QQQ we've lost a lot of the confluence here, right? SPY looks very strong still, all this positive volume. QQQ has had we've lost that 668 or like this double stack that was helping us previously, right? What you've noticed is the lower nodes have gotten weaker and 668 has picked up most of the volume. So we'll see if we bounce here, but the confluence is a little bit worse. Oh, wait, midlife crisis. Let me try to fix your thing right now. Okay, if the screen share stuff is not working properly, then I'll turn it back on. I think I know what's going on. No, never mind. Can you log out of the application, log back in? If it's still an issue, then I'll just turn it back on. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so we are getting a bit of reaction here. What happened to the screen? I forgot that we go check the announcements from yesterday. I forgot we're restricting like how much time a week we're putting screen share on for community members. Thoughts on Intel? Chart-wise, we have a pretty good double bottom. Map-wise, we have nothing. Huh. Oh, Intel's 3 times a week expirations? Okay, wait. So this is still, why does it have such a big note on Monday? We kind of lost this 85. I would have said if it's maybe like a fib retracement with the 85 floor, then that'd be decent. But at this point, it's just a double bottom. Don't really have much chart or heat map confluence. It's just the chart that's guiding my thesis there. Yeah, we've also had a ceiling roll down. So we started the day with 80 ceiling, 88. This is rolled down to 85 pretty clearly. So I don't know if I like Intel very much. Unless you're trying to like reshort 85, but I assume you meant bullish. Community tier got yeah, a little nerfed, I'll be honest. Audio only still midlife? Oh shit. Oh, you're playing shares, B-boy? Okay, that's a bit different. Yeah, that's more macro side. Midlife, give me another second here. I think there's one other thing I can try. I wonder if like your permissions got fucked up for some reason. No, it is correct. All right, I'll just turn it back on. We've had a few bugs with it. So I test it every day, but almost every day there's been some issue with it. So all good. Oh, it is working. Moving like lunch chop already. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely slowed down. So again, all this positive volume. Even though QQQ looks like a bit of a ceiling, like this is still positive volume, right? So it's not surprising we've slowed down a decent amount. Looks like we are trying to bottom out here a bit. The 668 is just making me a bit nervous on like, it looks like it's pretty limited upside. No, you're fine, midlife. It's we need all this feedback because like every time we implement a feature, obviously, Glitch is going through coding all this himself at night, so we have to test it each day basically. So There's always stuff that can break, as y'all saw, like all the audio setting. Oh, actually, I don't use music. Well, there's nothing really going on, honestly, at this point. I guess the other stream, they're probably figuring out if the music stuff is working. All right, so we're getting a small reaction here. Again, 668 might limit the upside, so let's see. Let's see about that. Oh, music was working? Okay. I think the iPhone just like is really annoying, apparently. Apparently it's more of an iPhone issue because I logged on I think 2 nights ago I was listening to Jules stream, but I used my dad's phone and it was fine. So I think it's actually an iPhone issue. Which is I think most, well, not most, a lot of people have iPhones, so especially like the US based people, so then it's still quite the problem. Oh, it was working yesterday. Okay. I think the mute is fine, but the sliders were terrible. I never got sliders to work on my phone. Got you. Got you. Okay. Thanks, Rexy and Matt. Are we hiring devs? I don't know. I'm not in charge of that aspect. I know most of the, I believe every developer, actually, I believe everyone that works on the team, developer or not, was a previous user. So like Glitch does like to pull people. One, he knows them, but then two, he knows they also trade, right? So you don't have some developer who, I mean, they can still be very capable, but you still need to know what the product is, what market are we serving. Like, there's still a lot of intricacies there that he likely just doesn't want to get stuck teaching people, like, oh, what is Heatseeker, right? He just wants developers who can sort of start and get going. I don't know if there's currently a need, though. I think all the products we're trying to push are covered. All right, so again, we're gonna pop here. Let's see 668. Wow, 668 doesn't hold. If we push through this is gonna be second time this week. The divergence kills me. But we'll see here. Someone had taken this, right? I think they said with the tight stop. Fudge. Fudge, I don't know if you got stopped out. I think you've been fine, right? Yeah, spiking no roll down. We still have nodes of 90, 96. I mean, 96%. This is basically a king node on its own, right? Like, this is just dual king node. So yeah, we'll see 668. Let's see if this slows it down. But there's definitely another nice pop there. Yeah, so Fudge, I don't know what percent you're up, but yeah, maybe trim one, leave runner, and then you'd be good there. I think your entry was pretty good if you didn't get stopped. So yeah, nice one, man. All right, so we have to give a bit more time, but it looks like 668 is slowing down here, slowing price down, like I mentioned. So, Fudge, hopefully you trimmed. So again, when you're trimming, you catch this reaction, you got to trim as the green candle is pumping, right? Because that's when your call premium is going to have their best value. As soon as you get some kind of top wick to form, that means you've probably lost 5-10%, depending how much it pulls back, right? Of course, this could keep going, but just as a precaution, I'll always trim into any potential resistance. QQQ's at 666. Yeah. Takashi. How you doing, man? I think you messaged earlier. I just realized it's, well, I assume it's you. Why can't I see people's Discord profile? What is going on? What am I looking at now? Not too much. The issue is if 668 holds strong as a ceiling, what happens now is that we've sandwiched between SPY and QQQ. If we manage to push past this, then that's a bit more bullish because then we have some air pockets upwards. But if 668 keeps giving trouble, then we have this huge SPY floor stack, all these positive nodes, and then we have this 668 ceiling on QQQ. So then this is just gonna not pinball, but it's gonna restrict the range, if that makes sense, user. So not very interested in anything here. All right, yeah, and sure enough, here it is. Here's the hold of that ceiling, right? Yeah, so fudge, hopefully you trimmed. Or at least went break even, so it's not a loss. So again, issues with the divergence, right? First time we hit, we were still closer to like holding this positive stack. By the time we came down and hit the second tap of this 734, QQQ had dropped down enough that it was like, okay, this level that was previously we're hoping to be a support, like this dual node, it had converted into just a single node up at 668 and then just two smaller nodes. So now flipped into a ceiling. So there was still a move, right? It's still a $2 move here, but this is capping our upside. So that's how we can sort of lower our expectations of how big a move we can expect. Trim to roll your stop. Okay, nice fudge. All right, so fudge caught that pretty well. Nice. If it holds 668 as a floor, if we can claim 668, oh, what are my targets? I don't know. I mean, at that point, you'd want to get a push up to 670, trim here. This is a previous support, big negative node. You trim into that. After that, I don't know. I'll figure it out as we go. If we get any roll, if we push the 670 and keep going upwards, there's going to be some major reshuffles. I just constantly be reassessing. I usually don't. Actually, I probably never say like, "Oh, here's our target." I just play the reaction, and then from that, then I just react to how strong the reaction is and the reshuffles that occur on the map afterwards. But yeah, for now, 668 is holding as a ceiling, so that's not even it's not a concern for now. Yep, yeah, no problem, user. If I need to explain anything further, always just let me know. I think I do well to explain to even people who are newer, but if there's ever anything that I'm skipping over that is not clear, just tell me. All right, Mav, huge trade. Yeah, with this kind of well, yeah, call credit spreads pretty early in the day. With this kind of move, Mav made his money already for the day. How can you add Trinity mode to Atlas? Oh, well, firstly, it's only pro tier for Trinity or for Atlas. And then you just go to the settings on the top right and you click this toggle here. And then any settings that you use, so like if I go to my normal Trinity, so any settings I flip over here, they will apply automatically to the other one, right? So like if I don't know, if I flip this over to value instead of percent of king node, then I refresh, then you'll see they're all going to be the value. So that's how it is for now. I actually want this to be like you can save presets, but I think that's a little bit more involved for the developers, so they're not going to be able to add it yet. But that is something that's I want to have. So similar how we have like the Atlas layouts, I want to have like color setting presets, right? Only bought 15. Matt, I think you made a good chunk. Bulls Bears, hopefully that covers your question. You're bad at indexes. Yeah, it's indexes. There's a lot to process. So like I think it is very valuable for people to just watch them over and over and over for a while. Because you're having to put together so much info on all three and then mix them all together. The divergences, confluences, you need to track all of that. So it is not simple. Yeah, so I think with the addition of these new settings, I think they're way bigger deal than some people realize. Like this is a huge boost to be able to look at these in this fashion, right? So I think it's something everyone needs to take advantage of. And this is something that's available to initiate as well, right? Like you can still filter your maps in a pretty clean way. You know, I'm not saying you have to copy me, but you can take whatever settings you like. But it really helps filter out, all right, you know, what do I care about a -1? Even though if it's a negative air pocket, if this thing is just, you know, no volume, it's just an air pocket, right? Yeah, we are pushing above 60. Well, we're still teetering right on the edge. We have to see. So it gave one rejection. At this point, I'm not sure. At this point, like if you have calls, you know, hopefully you trimmed it and you just have runners and we just wait and see. I probably wouldn't play the reentry. I guess if you would have caught this wick, you could have done the reentry, but I probably would have just play was here. And if you missed, it's fine. We just watch it play out. But yeah, getting back to this, like the dim feature is my favorite, and then oh shit, you can't save these. Wait, can you? Wait, this is new. How did they add this so quick? Oh, but it doesn't let you. Can someone refresh and test this? It doesn't let me type. Wait, let me check Slack real quick. It works for y'all? Let me hard refresh. Am I bugging? Am I missing something? Okay, it looks like we are claiming the 668. Wait, this is huge if we can do the presets already. I thought it would take them longer to do this. Oh, it works on Atlas, but not on Trinity? Can someone do it on Trinity? Does it work there? So I don't know what this, we can just do default. We can do stream colors. This is sick. Then we can do Nico colors or grayscale. Is gray with an E or an A? It can be either one, right? What does this look like? Interesting. Yeah, I don't mind this. This looks pretty sick. All right, so how do I save this? Grayscale. Switch. Awesome. Wow, this guy added overnight. This is insane. If I'm British, no, I'm not. It's gray. A with. Thanks, Jewel. Who keeps coming in here as Jewel? Bruh. So it's not working on Trinity? Okay, wait, let me message the developers. Wait, dude, this is insane. I didn't think they'd add it so fast. All right, so Trinity was not working for one of y'all as well, right? Hot Rod. Oh, Todd. Okay, thanks. All right, I'm gonna message the developers. They'll probably fix that. All right, these people, I don't even know how they do this so fast. Well, I don't know how long it takes to do something like that, but to me, their work rate is ridiculous. Oh, there's another Jewel. Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry, Jewel. I didn't know because some people just like start doing like Jewel 2, Jewel 3 just to mess with like Jewel, my coworker, but I couldn't tell. Socrates. So you see how they all fell out of the sky this morning. At what point was it like okay, it's safe to enter? On the slight pullbacks, I just never want to try to shorten. It's just late. Yeah, so I'd say, so firstly, Socrates, I think you're of the right mindset. Like, unless you see a significant retracement, you don't want to enter, right? So if it's just like a small candle wake up and then you're just trying to short just because you think the trend will continue, that's very dangerous. So you can only really short these situations when you're getting some kind of ceiling to slip in for you. So for example, and the issue today is there's no confluence, but like let's say on QQQ, right? We retraced upwards. You see we have a rug pull here. If I zoom in, you see we got this small positive node to show up with these negatives below. So you have this rug pull just sitting there. So you'd be saying, I want a retracement to at least the halfway point between the negative and positive. Tap there, maybe full tap of the positive, and those are going to be the moments you want to short, right? Where you actually have some ceiling to go off of. Hopefully that helps, Socrates. So I can't, yeah, I can't toggle on here. All right, so it's a Trinity issue. All right, that's fine. Either way, the fact that that got added at all is really nice. So the other reason people wanted presets is because depending how you set up your colors, if you flip to an individual ticker, it's going to look terrible, right? So a lot of people want to be a lot less restrictive with the dim and hide if it's individual tickers, especially when they have like these giant UpX nodes that are just throwing off the whole map. 668. Yeah, you can play a retest of 668. Again, to me, the quality's definitely gone down. Like this is probably now B or C setup because the better setup was down here off the SPY. But yeah, you can do so. Whoa, it looks like it's already bouncing. But yeah, I'd say like once we push the full node past and retrace and then tap it, that's safe enough for a retrace. So we already got like, looks like almost $1 off of that. I don't know what premium, let me log into, sorry, let me log into something real quick so I can see what premiums are like right now. Wait, and actually let me, where's my brother? All right, so that retracement, whoever mentioned that one, it is playing out. Trying to log on. I'm trying to pull up an options chart so I can at least tell y'all like we're getting this amount of, percent gain or whatever. Trying to log into my account. The heck? So sorry for the pause here. Just give me a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, like by now, like the bigger move has already happened, so your risk reward is a lot more stunted, right? So that's the issue of break and retest is it usually means that a big chunk of the move already happened and you're not playing, I don't know, what was previously a $3 bounce, right? On QQQ, you're now targeting $1 or $1.50. So you can take them. I always drop them in quality. Yep, exactly, user. So if you got a good entry and you already have a preset sell limit at like 20, 30%, like you probably would have gotten filled in and out pretty quickly there. And this is why I'm always pretty big on bracket orders, right? If you have that 30, 40% trim, sometimes it's hard to execute when they happen very quickly. So you got to have it sort of sitting there already. Double Barney ceiling. You're saying the 736 and 670, Rexy? I assume. I like the SPY one more. There's like more space downwards off of it. The QQQ, if 669 continues to grow, which has just popped really big time, if this keeps growing, you're going to get a problem with that negative node rejection because this is sort of like a floor. They're sliding higher. If this 669 does not keep growing, then I think you're a bit safer to play that negative node rejection. But yeah, let's see. I guess first we need to even get to the negative nodes. So let's see if we get to them. Schulte. Okay, yeah, y'all were both spotting same confluence there. Good eye. Yeah, so this one, at least for me, no, we didn't fully tap, so not really an entry offered there. Unless you're going really aggressive off this 735, like we're like 40 cents away. But again, especially on a negative node, I'm way less likely to take an early entry. Yeah, y'all spotted some good ceilings there. Actually, so like 736 had just popped up. Actually, I had completely missed this. So it had just flared up onto Atlas. The QQQ one had been there a little longer. We had the support resistance flip as well. But yeah, again, bounced a bit early, no entry, then it'll happen. But the overall idea, the two of y'all want it onto a pretty good one. I've had a chart resistance drawn at 735.76. Oh, if you had a level, oh, okay. Oh, you're using this level for like the past few days, right? I assume fudge. Yep. Yep. So actually, yeah, I need to draw my levels. Okay, maybe this is this is bad habits by me, but yeah, we do have a very big level there. But even that level, the yours is a little lower than mine, fudge, but the one from a few days that aligned perfectly with that negative node that Rexy and Schulte were talking about. SK Ving. Oh, you should consider OPEX nodes. The only thing with them is always double check what has been the context since then, right? So I forget what the ticker was. Huh. What is the ticker that just gapped down on earnings? Tesla, right? So Tesla OPEX, if you go look at the map, it's got some huge nodes upside, right? If you look at the just the normal table, Tesla, and you go to the full strikes and you do a month, you'll notice this August. Oh wait, I need to go to VEX. Whoops. Boy, a lot of this volume is rolled down. Am I thinking of a different ticker? It used to have a lot more upside volume, like up towards, yeah, this 420 node is still lingering, but so the whole point is like you have big OPEX nodes like that and you put too much stock in them and you have a big catalyst like earnings, or even without earnings, if it just starts to sell off big time, those positions are usually taken well in advance. Like those are there a month or more ahead of time. So what happens is these VEX nodes, they just take a while to readjust, if that makes sense. So sometimes even if I see a really big VEX node, if I see the chart has just been dragging away from those price ranges for a while, I'll trust it a lot less. And what I'll look for is, let's say 420 used to be a king node. I look for that volume to roll down, 400 or just 375. Like it'll gradually roll down a lot of times. So that's something I usually watch out for, especially if you have like no other VEX nodes pointing that way, right? If these are all just kind of isolated on OPEX and there's not consistent pressure in that direction, then I trust them a lot less. Hopefully that makes sense. So GLW. Let me check the chart. So actually 140 is not that far for GLW, but it is a similar kind of thing, right? Where it's like we had a severe gap down, so this may spend some time reshuffling. So for now, actually, I'd say 140 is not out of the question. Like it's not that crazy of a move compared to Tesla to 420. Obviously, is a very crazy move. But still keep an eye on especially this 135 and this 130 node. Keep an eye on those because if these keep pumping higher, then there's a potential they just slap volume lower and we never get to 140. But the GLW is actually not the same case as Tesla. Because for Tesla to get to that, what was previously the king node, it would need a 33% move on the ticker price. on the underlying price, which is, massive for a month. Yep, no problem. SKVing. I should probably make a future. I'll try to pull a few like good examples and make a video on this. Just because every time I talk about it, I use like some not the cleanest examples, but I'll try to find one and I'll go through the replay and show you like how the node grows and shrinks or how it rolls down over time. So SKVing, can you send me a reminder, like just video about OPEX nodes or something like that? Crow, that is a good catch. We are getting some of this volume to roll lower. It is still a very strong stack, I'll say. Like all these nodes are above 70, 80%. So this is still very much a ton of volume here. But we are getting a slight drop in that volume. Let's see if 668 can still hold a ton of volume. We're having better confluence once again, right? If we can have both SPY and QQQ preventing further downside, that's helping with the whole 7300 scare. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the more times we keep testing this level for these, this initial top end of the stack at 734, obviously we lose a bit more confidence each time. Nomadic. Yeah, it was recorded. I'll post it to my YouTube. The issue is like to download off of Stages and then actually I should go do that right now. So basically every video I do on Stages, there's no like automatic way to like pass it over to my YouTube. So I have to like manually download it and manually upload it. And these are like pretty big files. So it is just not the, I guess it's not very quick process. I can probably convert this to some kind of AI process, but I'm not too good with AI. But so I've posted a few of the office hours, but right now I'm on my July 22nd videos. So I'm still downloading some of these. I'm gonna go download one right now, actually. But I'll keep working through them, and in the future I'll do it more instantly right after. But it does take some time. I have to download it, then upload it to YouTube, which obviously each process takes a while, and then YouTube does some like weird check, I guess, for like content. I don't know, content safety regulations or whatever, rules or whatever it may be. So it takes like a little bit of time for each of these videos. All right, so even with OPEX, again, there's been a couple decent moves. Like I think some of these small scalps down here were solid. Took a lot of patience, right? You had to sort of just sit around here staring at the morning move until we got, found that moment. But that's how I trade. So hopefully it's a bit insightful to at least how I'm looking through this stuff. Nomadic. I'm also probably going to be doing it once a month. Like I think the psychological side is, it's not like you listen to a video once and fix it, right? And also like the mental issues that plague you today, maybe in 2 months you still have a mental side issue. It's just a little different, right? Maybe something else. So I think it's good to have those sessions, which are a bit more free flowing and just Q&A. So yeah, I'll try maybe once a month. I can do that, like an hour or two, just on the Q&A mental side. I'll try to do it a little earlier next time, because I know a lot of people just couldn't tune in. Are we going to 670 again? I don't know. Again, I don't like to predict targets or not. We still have a lot of volume here on SPY, especially that could boost us up. But the fact QQQ is completely lost now, the 667 floor, and even 666 is pretty soft. I'm not liking that very much. Like 668 is teetering between ceiling and floor, right? And I'd want it to be like more stable as a floor to see further upside. Yep. Yeah, this is this is the FOMC special, y'all. Yeah, so FOMC crush, or sorry, IV crush definitely happens going into FOMC, right? Because everyone knows he's gonna say something. No one knows what it is. Like, as you can see, the heat maps are all over the place. So like contract IVs are usually pretty high. And if it's flat, yeah, you can absolutely get IV crushed on FOMC. So it does turn into this big earnings type issue, right? Where it's like, right, if you get, even if you know, not you know, like let's say, even if you get the FOMC move correct, you can still cook, depending on how severe the drop or pump is and all. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but there's definitely an element of IV crush as well. Mr. Phil by a dollar again, Crow? Huh. Crow, your sample size is small, but I know like even in the past 2 to 3 days from the live streams, DM me. If you haven't taken any trades and you're always missing it by a dollar or two, you might want to bump it up. Like you might be going too aggressive. But if you've still caught a few decent trades and it's just like a couple missed, then I think that's fine, even if you miss a few. So it just depends, I guess, how many you're missing. Is it all of them or is it a few, if that makes sense? Missed on two today. Yeah, it might not be that big of an issue actually, Crow. Like, end of the day, today's FOMC, you got one yesterday. Your sample size is still small. I would say play out the rest of the week as you are doing, or maybe even 2 weeks of data, and then you can decide. But a sample size of 2 days is usually not enough to make a decision. But yeah, keep me posted if you do feel like you're missing every move, then yeah, maybe you can tweak. Just let me know. You can always DM me. Premiums are so juiced right now. Better to trade. Yeah. So IV crush is one is a reason to not trade before the event, whether it's earnings, FOMC, whatever. And then two, you can just trade afterwards, right? Just be aware. Once he starts talking at 2:30, there will be some level of IV crush, but there's also going to be some level of like every sentence this guy says could swing the market, right? And reshuffle everything. So I know what some people do is they'll say like, I'm not trading not OPEX. I'm not trading FOMC until he's done talking. So they basically just do power hour and just play like really small positions. So I guess you could do that if you want. But the issue is like, yeah, there's an IV crush element, but then there's also the risk of the guy saying whatever he wants to say, right? Or not whatever he wants, but whatever he's going to say. Would I play puts? No, to me, like the SPY floors and the QQQ ceiling are opposing each other. So the risk reward is terrible. So I probably wouldn't be playing. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, but yeah, SPX does have a big downside note. But again, to me, these big, huge nodes, if there's not a big deflection, I don't like to. It's not in my nature. Like I don't like to play towards these hedge nodes with too much because I've seen a lot of times they just fade off and then nothing ends up happening, right? So feel free to, right? I'm not saying nobody should. I'm just saying I don't like to take plays off of these weird nodes in the distance. And yeah, like this huge stack on SPY has definitely ruined the movement of the day, right? It slowed price right on down, and then since let me check, since what 10:20, 10:30, we've just been sitting here, right? We got a box of chop for the past like a $2 range for the past hour compared to the first hour, which was what like a full $6 drop. Yep. Yep. Large Pika stack has a floor on SPY. QQQ we dragged into the Pika stack, so now we're just kind of hovering at it. So it's a bit weird. So again, it's no need to trade if things look a bit uncertain. The first one or two taps on the SPY Pika stack, I think we're solid actually. But by now we're tapping into a third, fourth time, so it's it gets riskier and riskier each time. Yeah, for myself, the first or second tap you could have justified. Honestly, the first tap was the one I liked the most, which was the only one I took on futures, right? Even the second one, it played out actually. I didn't like it as much because I saw QQQ so weak and 738 stepping in as a ceiling. But we did have $2 of space, so like it did give a good move. I liked it a little bit less. It's a good idea to buy out the money calls and puts like Lotto. VS2. So you're saying like buy one each way, kind of strangle it or straddle? I forgot what is like the actual term. I don't remember if it's strangle or straddle. I wouldn't, because the thing is, at that point, you need one side to move way more than 100%, which it has happened. Like I've seen actually many times it does happen. But if we get a flat FOMC, you're basically spending double money. You're losing double money, right? So again, the whole FOMC day in general, like, I mean, honestly, yeah, you guys could have just taken the day off. There's a couple small scalps, but yeah, like I usually, the way I think of it, right, is FOMC is 1 day a month. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to custom fit a strategy of like, I can strangle or straddle the 2:30 press conference, whatever, to account for some like really oddball scenario. It's just a lot of energy going towards something that happens 12 times a year when I can just skip it, right? Get used to the normal days, and I'll just trade the normal days how I want, and then not even have to worry about all these weird ones, right? Straddle. Okay, thanks, Fudge. Yeah, I've only experimented with some spread strategies, so there's a few of them that I'm not too. I know what they mean. I'm not too familiar with the names. All right, Apple. Oops. Wait, let me answer GStat. So 733. Where's 733? 733 was purple. Mine has been yellow the whole time. What are your settings? GStat. What is your expiration settings, and are you on Gex plus Vex or just Gex? What I think of Apple double bottom. Actually, this one doesn't look too bad. Apple is retesting. If this SPY stack holds, I think Apple could get a nice move. So as long as the 7300 doesn't come true, I think Apple looks decent actually. This 337. We did consolidate a lot under this 340, so it is a pretty good resistance. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Apple, I'll be honest. Shook. Why is my how do I turn on magnet mode? Magnet. There we go. Had that messed up for a while. All right. Oh, you have expiration fives. GStat, do you day trade or are you swing trading? If you're day trading, turn expirations to current. There's no need to look at 5 because basically you're looking at a full week of data. All right. Yeah. So change those settings and then let me know if that matches mine. GStat. See you, Rexy. Yeah, this is not too much happened today. There's a big sell off at the beginning, but again, I didn't like those setups as much, so just a couple scalps towards later. Champagne Poppy, you're on a work call? Should probably not be. Yeah, how are you tuned into this as well? Or are you saying you're about to hop off? Yeah, this has been really bad, I'll be honest. I'll probably hop off soon as well. I think at some point Jewel will hop on. And I'll just transition to him. There's a couple of videos I wanted to release yesterday and I just didn't have time to do, so maybe I can get some work done on those. Yeah, Champagne. Hopefully feel better, man. I mean, take the work call and then rest. The market is not gonna have too much go on today. I'll tell you that. Well, I mean, could have told you that last night. Big. This fig level has been tested a lot. I would not play this fig double top. On the macro, this is still the third tap there. And this is the low of the range, right? So this is one where it's like we're coming up to a ceiling, but all the volume is stacked higher. So I probably wouldn't want to be playing puts because we're at the low of range, right? So if we break above retest, then maybe 25 is good for push upwards. But I wouldn't want to play puts on here. I don't know which side you're looking at it from. Who is this? Milo? Call. Yeah, so if you're looking at calls, maybe break retest 25, you can play upside. When is the rate decision? The rate decision should be 2 p.m. that comes out. Are you planning on adding indicators? Yes. So for simple stuff like VWAP, EMAs, I think SMAs, that is a lot simpler, KG. So that is something we're looking to add. I think we're not that far away from it, actually. I think the developer already has most of the structure. He just needs to. I have to confirm with him, but I think he needs to just test it in staging. Like I'll have to go in, test it out, whatever, and then we can push to production. For something that's more custom, I think that I've spoken with him because there's a lot of futures traders that use customized scripts. So I'm trying to figure out like what's the likelihood of that happening or not. So that one, I guess I'll have to give an answer to in the future once I speak with him again. But yeah, EMAs, VWAP, some of those definitely. If Warsh doesn't cut rates, do I think we? Oh, Sam, I'm probably like the worst macro trader you'll ever see. So I have almost no answer there. I'll be honest. Like I just never even. I'm purely technical. I don't even consider. Bruh. We joking? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me right now? Are we joking? Yeah, I got logged off. I got hit with the security check midstream. Wonderful. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so anyways, so what I was saying, Sam, I have terrible macro and like a lot of the fundamental side of trading, I don't understand it. So I have no idea. I would ask in trading chat, there's a lot of people in there that have a lot more market experience about how something like rate cuts and some of this other stuff impacts the market. But my trading is purely technical. So that's something that I know what like macro events are going on and when I shouldn't be risking as much money, but I don't really pay attention to what they ever say during FOMC. Same thing with Trump. I never pay attention to what he's saying. Yeah, 350 looks pretty solid as a foot. Like chart wise, this looks pretty nice. Someone had asked about JPM, right? I guess chart level wise, the entry was a little bit ago. But I guess we're getting a bit of a retracement here. I guess if you're looking to play in a little later. Okay, sorry again, I need to load up my Atlas. Hopefully my color saves didn't get deleted. Update. Wait, did they fix this already? No way. See what I'm talking about? Like they already fixed this? Is insane. And I put that message in like while I was on stream. What the heck? Yeah, we also have the dark pool on JPM. Yep. Are we serious right now? They already fixed. All right. Yeah. So again, developers. I'll keep their names private, but yeah, y'all should be thanking these developers every day. All right. I mean, the same situation as it's been in, right? Like SPY has the downside positive nodes, QQQ has the upside positive nodes. We still have those nodes down there on SPX. I don't know. We're going into lunch. We've chopped out like an hour and a half. Not much to do here. Still bearish momentum. I mean, to me, this just looks like chop, right? SPY's restricting downside, QQQ's restricting upside. SPX just has that fat node down there. So I'm leaning more towards just chop and like, yeah, we're cautiously bearish in case that node picks up some steam, right? Or some influence, but it's gotten a bit nerfed, that node, right? With all this positive node stepping in. Positive node stepping in on SPY QQQ, right? It's really slowed down the huge sell-off we saw at the beginning. So if it wasn't for those SPX downside nodes, I probably would have been looking at maybe selling like a put credit spread, right? Once we started hitting a lot of these positive nodes, because we could expect them to stall out. But because of the risk of that downside SPX further, I wouldn't want to be getting into any kind of like sell positions, right? But yeah, I guess just to cover like alternate strategies, I know a few people wanted that from like the feedback forums. Like that's how you'd be looking at the sell side of this. Sorry, the selling credit spreads side of this. If you don't know what credit spreads are, just don't trade them. They're incredibly. If you have good rules, they're fine. If you don't know how to manage them, they can implode your port in a single day. QQQ, yeah, I mean, on the first tap, right, it would have been the 668, 669 you're playing, right? But now we've sagged a little bit under, and now 668, 669 is ceiling. So, and actually, we're getting a bit of a rug pull with 667 flipping negative. If you notice here, so now we have this bit of clear ceiling on QQQ opposing the floors on SPY. So this is just, you know, these two are just battling it out. This is just chop to me. All right, Amazon. All right, Amazon. Yeah, I guess we have like this double bottom with this one. So Amazon's a good example. Like this 240, I don't really trust this thing at all. Unless FOMC, this guy says something crazy, I don't think this 240 is happening. 255 even less, right? So this is getting to what I was saying earlier. This is not an OPEX node, but just when you get these big roll downs in volumes, like Amazon's falling away. So the king node that was previously there, either 280 or 255, I mean, obviously it's still big volume, but I'm not trusting this nearly as much because I'm looking at it and saying, like, look, they're pushing a huge amount of volume to 240, right? This thing has grown big time, right? Over 150% in an hour. They're probably just rolling a ton of volume here, and that might now be our upside target. And on the and again, the VEX reshuffles slower than the GEX. On the GEX, we don't even have 255 anymore. It's just 240 and 230. So they're rolling volume down big time on Amazon. Yeah, we've seen a lot of crazy days, but I think like a day like yesterday, we had a very big surge on a much cleaner setup with good confluence compared to today, right? So there's crazy days, but also like some have just much better, simpler to read setup than others, right? So goal is always trade as best you can, but to do that, at least in my opinion, you should be looking at trying to take the best setups each day, right? And just because the day has a big move doesn't mean we should have found it, right? Sometimes we just don't have good confluence on the heat maps to the chart, right? So it's just the reality, right? Some days are going to be easier to catch than others. So let's see. Let's see if we kind of double bottom out here on SPY QQQ. But yeah, it's getting a bit weirder here. I mean, we have 734 still basically our king node, but QQQ's put in these really strong ceilings. ARM. Yeah, ARM has a huge support down there at 200. Like a more macro level. And I guess you're saying we're going to retest this kind of rug pull here? Yeah. But yeah, I'd say, like you mentioned, right, for that to play out really, really well, you hopefully want to see SPY start to drag down through these positive notes. So let's see. It looks like, yeah, let's see this double bottom reacts. I'm not going to trade this one. We're going into lunch. QQQ looks a lot worse than the first tap when it was more of a support. So I'll probably just skip on this one. $734 might become ceiling on SPY. Yeah, that's true. For now, we're holding it, but we can also get that start to flip as our ceiling. Absolutely. Yeah, today to me was not great in terms of like good, solid 2 out of 3 confluence plays. We really only had one, which is the one the double positive stacks on the first tap. That was to me the best one user, so I agree with you. Warm, salty. I don't know what you mean. Breath, heat map. I don't know if I understand that. So again, the individual support nodes, I'm more likely to play them if I feel like we're going to hold strong here, right? So if QQQ's floor, if these two positive nodes were at support right now, I'd probably be more likely to play an individual support node, right? So some individuals will inverse the market, but it's a lot tougher to if the market's selling off for that individual ticker to catch that support and bounce off of it. So we'll see. Yeah, we're just tapping into 734 here. Let's see if we start sort of breaching into this positive stack. We've rolled some volume down to 731, or let's see if we can still hold this 734, sort of double bottom on the chart. I like the trade. What was the timestamp on this? This 1025 candle at the bottom of the wick. That to me was the best trade of the day. Like where we have 2 out of 3 bounce nodes, right? Yeah, user exactly. Like the reason the double bottom is a lot weaker and why I'm not going to trade it is because the only thing that's supporting it is this SPY node. QQQ has lost the confluence that we had earlier. Oh, on Flow Compass, there's a breath heat calendar. Yeah, warm top. Let me answer these other questions, then I'll get to. I don't think I've ever seen that, but let me take a look at it. 659 on QQQ. Yeah, it's a good catch. QQQ is rolling down a lot of volume. The 685 this is still pretty big. That's weird. But yeah, we're definitely popping a lot of volume downwards. SPY as well. Obviously, SPX has been there all day and growing. This was earlier like 20 or 30,000, I believe. And also 733, 732, there's more volume concentrating 731, right? So even though it's a stack, like the strongest nodes are the extremes right now at 731 and 734. Yeah, so let's see, maybe we get further flush. All right, so what's this question? Flow compass. Which one's the compass? This one? This one. Oh, the one that's a compass. Holy, breath, heat sector. So percent of each sector above its 20-day average by session. What the hell? So this is essentially, to my understanding, what this is telling us is how bullish / bearish each sector has been for a given period of time, right? So, or by day, it looks like. So like tech, right? Compared to its 20-day, I don't know if this is EMA or SMA. Should probably clarify that. Well, no, actually, average is just average. But this is just telling us, okay, we've been consistently above it in tech for all of April and May. Whereas then June, July, we've now flipped to being either neutral or bearish, so under its 20-day average. So just for you to a way for us to track sectors, and I guess sector rotations as well. Now, by the time a sector, by the time technology flips red, and you're like, oh, okay, now it's bearish, like the reversal's already happened. It's actually somewhere over here. But I think I'd have to look into this a bit deeper, but you can probably use this to help you catch sector rotations pretty nicely. It can also help you identify market leaders, right? So when the whole market was red here in this March, right? Energy was, it was less green, but energy was still relatively strong. So you can see relative strength and which sectors those are in. Yeah, that's my quick interpretation of this. But again, I didn't even realize they added this. It's the first time I look at it. So, all right, yeah, we'll see how this double bottom plays out. Guys, again, don't overreact to we pushed 30 cents under 734, right? So don't call this like, oh, we've lost the floor. So always make sure you need to see a bit more. It's potential this does lose. I'm not saying that it's not going to lose this level, but don't overreact about like a 10 cent, 20 cent overshoot, right? And that's also why the chart is important, right? Even if you think we're going to lose this level, if you want to short here, you're shorting straight into a chart double bottom. So you have to recognize the risk with that, right? You should never be shorting into a double bottom, longing into a double top. Like there's still a few base rules based on the chart that you should never be breaking. Hey, Jack. Wait, so Jack's name works. It looks like the oracles and admins is tracking properly, but it's not tracking all the other colors. I don't know. It looks like only some of them are tracking properly. Where's Trump where you need him? You should never need Trump. If you need Trump for a play to work, then trade was probably a problem in the first place. Can I go over the setup? How to make heat maps? Oh, my settings. Yeah, I'll make a video on this on the color settings. It's a lot easier now that we can save them. Like we have presets. But my stream colors, let's see. So firstly, I use percent of king node. This is just a bit easier. I used to do this math mentally, and for me, I can do it very easily. I've worked on numbers my whole life, but it's a lot easier, I think, for a lot of people, right? Where you come in, you know what the king node is, but then everything else you just view it as a percentage of it, right? So I have it set pretty low, actually all the way down at 20%. Because I want to see as nodes start to emerge on the fringe, right? I actually only care about nodes once they're past 20 and even towards 25, 30%. But I put it a little bit lower just so I can see those nodes that are just not coming into the picture, if that makes sense. But if you want to focus on playing stronger nodes, you can probably stick this to 25, 30%. What else? I have, okay, so that's dim. So that means everything that is not above this threshold, it is now paler, right? So it dims down to, I have it set to 75. I would not go this low. So if you go very low, you can see that it just disappears basically. I would at least leave it at 50. You still want to have some idea of what they are. Like, I don't think you want to just erase these nodes from your vision. So again, I have 75, but I guess you can go a little lower if you want it to be a little bit more clear, the difference. And that's it. Oh, and the other big one for me is velocity. I don't care that a node that's 1% of the king node grew 5,000%. That doesn't matter to me. So I have it only on selected. So what this means is that the velocity bubbles will only show up on nodes that are above my threshold. So if I say 20% of the king node is my threshold, I'm only looking at nodes or velocities on those nodes. The hover you can turn off. It's just, you see, like, you have this little bubble. Let me show you. See how you have this little bubble that floats around, so you can read it a little better. Or it's like, if it's a percentage, you can actually read the value. Yeah, I mean, you can turn it on if you want, but I don't find much use for that. Yeah, so percent king node, you still want to know if it's positive or negative. I turned off the decimals. I don't think anyone is looking at decimals unless it's a super low volume ticker. Dim 20, 75%. I leave the normal color scheme. I only leave the normal color scheme because I stream and a lot of people are used to the colors. If I was trading for myself, I'd probably swap to grayscale or something. Yeah, and that's it. Hopefully that helps. Who asked this? Big Orange. Again, I'll make a video about this and post it on YouTube as well. Because same as the Atlas settings, I know people will ask me this quite a few times inevitably. So again, those are my settings. You can use them as a starting point, but everyone should be looking at, everyone will likely end up customizing them a bit on their own in the future, right? All right, SMH. We have this small support here, 510. Let me check a larger time frame chart and see if this is something. Oh, so actually this is a very big level. We have this previous sort of double top, small double top. The first rejection was big, second one was very small. So this is the first retest from above. I don't believe we've hit a fib. Yeah, a macro fib, it looks like we're going to need higher. Oh, no, we are. Oh, we're hitting the 0.5. Yeah, honestly, maybe we do get a reaction here. The next also decent level would be this level here, where you have this sort of rejection down for, a few hours, and then we caught a bounce off of it as well. So yeah, that's probably what I'd be looking at on SMH. Again, those are more macro levels, so sometimes you have to give it a bit, be prepared for a pretty big undershoot. Oh, they haven't fixed this bug about the fibs. Okay, I need to message the developer a little bit later. But the thing with SMH is next week, this is completely like even split. Like, it's very hard to tell, are we going up or down next week, just because it's basically 50-50 based on this 520 and 500 node. Do I look at next day nodes when considering a trade? Are you talking about SMH, or is this for what ticker are you specifically looking at? I do look at next day nodes unless I'm day trading. Day trading, I don't really care. Unless it's something massive like this. These SPX nodes were showing the past few days. All right, looks like we are breaking under some of these levels. Let's see. We got a small reaction on the double bottom. And then it looks like we're flushing a bit more now. Yeah, huge. Yeah, this 7,300 has just been growing all day. Yeah, now I'm wishing I took a butterfly for that a while ago. I do use her, but only if I see something like alarming. Like this node here, 7,300. All right, hood double bottom. It's like another dollar down till we double bottom. What I don't like is if we come double bottom, we're then going to slam into this 90 as a ceiling instead of as a support. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like that too much. That the chart and node level are a little bit misaligned. All right, at this point, yeah, 659 does align a lot more with this huge 7300. Only other place we could bounce before then would probably be this 731 and 663 confluence. So 663, bit of a reverse rug pull with the gatekeeper here. And you'd want to see SPY still in that positive stack, see if that holds. So that would be the only other trade. But this is probably going to hit during lunch. I don't like that. I usually don't trade during lunch. Yeah, that's about it. And then if not there, then yeah, this will probably flush down to this QQQ King node along with SPX confluence. So it'd be what, $5 down? Yeah, $5 down, QQQ, roughly $50 down, SPX. Those are correlated. Would I say the double bottom failed? So technically double bottom worked, right? Like we bounced a dollar, almost $1 there, right? I didn't think it would be a big reaction because we completely lost all confluence from QQQ, right? QQQ, instead of having a support, which it had a small one earlier, 666, it just flipped to having ceilings. It actually had a rug pull, right? 667 flipped negative for a little bit. You'll see a small node here. So I wouldn't have taken the double bottom. It did have a small reaction, but I would have been very suspicious to expect a big move there because of what we're seeing on the heat maps, right? So again, this is the whole point of you want to be taking trades that on the heat maps and the charts, or the charts and the heat maps have confluence. So just because there's a double bottom, I'm not slamming every double bottom if the heat map's not supporting it, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Pro, Fig. I thought I already covered Fig, I believe. Again, Fig, if it claims 25, it looks like it can push further. This is also, Fig has been really strong actually relative to the market. But if the market starts pushing for 7,300, Fig is going to have a real hard time claiming 25. And it has not yet reached above it. So if 25 could still reject it, double top, and this is just a gatekeeper. So I don't like to play when it's a gatekeeper. We're at the bottom of the range and we haven't yet claimed it. Those to me are not like super clean setups. Hopefully that makes sense. Hypothesis. There's someone else that asked about Fig earlier. Yep, no problem. Rocket Lab. All right, so this Rocket Lab double bottom is a bit better, right? Like, because we're at the low of the range. Okay, we have this 55, but it's still pretty small. But we're at the low of the range, right? Versus being at the, sorry, we're at the low of the range hitting from above instead of the low of the range hitting from below. So hopefully the difference between like this and Fig is clear, at least for my, like the way I'm explaining it. So Rocket Lab looks better. Again, you'd still want the indexes to catch a bounce. But this looks a little healthier. The only thing is the 62 node that just popped in the past hour, 200%. That might limit your upside, but that's still $1. That's still $2 of room. So I think could get a nice play off Rocket Lab as long as the indexes bounce, which actually looks like they're doing. Hey, so sir. Zachpo, you got liquid. Zachpo, what moment did you play the bounce? Hello, Mojo. So Zachpo, there was a couple decent scalps, but yeah, you have to be very selective with those big SPX nodes as a risk to downside. You have to be very selective about what moment you're trying to play the bounce, right? So I think still the best trade to me is still this 1025 one. Even though it wasn't the largest, it was the cleanest cleanest floors. The dark pool? Which dark pool? The dark pool at 955 you played? SPY dark pool 737. Okay. Yeah, that one didn't have much confluence. It was just that level with the QQQ. I mean, that one did bounce though, right? If you enter at 737, I guess, can you DM me your entries? I have to hop off soon, but that level did hold. It did give a reaction, so I'd be curious when you got in. We noticed on QQQ is a negative node, so you probably want to see a little bit more undershoot. But to me, there wasn't great confluence, like heat map wise, excluding the dark pool. So I skipped that one personally. And just now, what you played the double bottom, Zachpo? I think the double bottom I explained, right? Like SPY was the only one that was really supporting that one. So it's chart and SPY, but QQQ SPX are not supporting. Because QQQ had flipped to being a ceiling, right? 688, 668. Got you. Yeah, Zachpo, please send me your entries. We can text about those, but I think the big thing for you is going to be you need to find confluence. If there's no confluence, then you shouldn't be been trading them. Like you have to anticipate that's going to be a weaker setup. Snow, I checked earlier. It looks like it might double top, but this is a really weird. Like this is a ton of upside volume, so it may just squeeze through. I think someone was asking about the 285 rejection earlier. And yeah, I feel very hesitant with that, with this rate of growth on the negative nodes above. Looks like we may just squeeze through it. Snow's had a lot of strength relative to the indexes. That is really strong on the day. Amazon user, I think I did address that, no? Said that FIG, it's going to be hard to get going unless the indexes get a bounce. I'll address it again, but I think I already answered that. Amazon has a double bottom. Yeah, Amazon looks decent. Double bottom here. This stuff may just chop though, I will say. Like this double stack of positives, this may just start chopping and just do nothing. All right, so FIG, I had said, yes, we have a double top here, which aligns more with the indexes, but from the map side, we have this is the bottom of the range. So if we claim 25, we can get further upside. So yeah, it's hard to play upside while the indexes are selling off like this, but FIG has maintained a lot of relative strength compared to the indexes. So if I had to choose one that I wanted to play upside on, it'd probably be something that has been this strong, even with the indexes selling off, right? But I'll say you don't want to just take 25 and play the breakout, right? You probably want to play like a break retest at 25 or something. But this upside 25 level has been hit 3 times on the macro chart. So to me, it's pretty decent thesis. Zachpo, DM that to me on Discord. If you leave it here, I'm not going to be able to remember it or find this later. So I need that info somewhere I can check later. Thanks, Zachpo. 733 is weakening. 732 is weakening. Yep. So previously, 733 and 732 were actually more getting softer. 733 actually got a big surge in volume. So you see past 10 or 15 minutes, this pushed up 50%. So it seems like they're strengthening the floor there. So we'll see if that holds, then maybe we won't dip down to 731. But instead of being just a clean stack of 4, this is now definitely separated into a double positive stack above and just a single 731 below. All right, any other questions? I'm going to hop off and get lunch soon. So any other questions before I go? Jewel just got online. I think he just ate lunch. So everyone here can pivot over to him. So you guys still have someone you can listen to and ask questions to. And then I'll probably be back. I know I said 1 or 1:30. I'll probably be back later, probably towards 2. I'll probably switch my schedule in the future. So I'll take like a 2-hour lunch break. It's not actually a 2-hour lunch break, but I spend a lot of the time answering DMs during that gap. So it just gives me a bit more time to help on the support side. So it's not just John overloaded. Okay, hopefully this was helpful. Again, ask me any questions. DM me if there's anything y'all need help with. But again, it's OPEX. Don't do anything crazy. I think there's a couple solid. Oh, there's one solid trade and maybe 2 if you can justify the second one. But the second move upwards. But yeah, end of the day, this is not a day you want to be doing anything too crazy. Okay, yep, hopefully it was helpful. And yeah, good luck, everyone. And you guys can all pivot over to Jewel. He's still over there, or he just started, so He's fresh. He'll have energy. So he can talk all through lunch. All right, y'all. All right, Crow caught the short. Nice. All right. Good luck, everyone. See y'all later. Bye.